In this painting, Caravaggio beheaded himself. At the time, not many people had talent like him. But in Rome, in the city full of sins, he had to deal with criminals. Therefore, he ended up in prison for several times. But small hooliganism gradually became more serious, and eventually Caravaggio killed a man in a duel. He was sentenced to death, but he didn't die by executioner's sword. Let's understand Caravaggio's life is full of sins, but stay till the end, because what you hear may even make you forgive him for killing a man. Before Caravaggio, everything that was painted emphasized the artist's talent, simply beauty and a life that people wanted to have. By this time, the counter-revolution had begun. The Catholic Church was fighting the Protestants. Caravaggio's paintings was used to propaganda, because his paintings were so close to reality. These paintings were intended to bring ordinary people to the religion. But the irony of the story is that Caravaggio was a man full of sins. In his early 20s, he moved to the city of Rome. The city was rife with corruption and competition. Struggling in poverty, he often worked on a little pay and often clashed with others over money, work, and status. His environment gave rise to aggressive survival instincts. Caravaggio lived much of his life among the marginalized, including prostitutes, whom he often used as models for his religious works. For example, Death of the Virgin features a model believed to be a well-known Roman prostitute. This was scandalous at the time, as critics argued it defiled the sacred subject by using someone from the lower echelons of society as the Virgin Mary. But I think there was a reason why he was using prostitutes as models. But to understand that, we have to know better about Caravaggio's life. Caravaggio was once even charged with libel and pederasty, a serious accusation in 17th century Rome. The term pederasty at the time referred broadly to inappropriate sexual relations with minors or relationships seen as morally unacceptable. These charges stemmed from a bitter dispute with another painter, Giovanni Baglioni, who accused Caravaggio of immoral behavior. But many believe it was an attempt to tarnish his reputation during professional rivalry. There is little evidence to support the claims. However, Caravaggio's turbulent personality and association with controversial figures meant he was often at the center of rumors and scandals. These experiences informed his art, creating works that resonated with raw emotion and stark realism, bringing the struggles of humanity into the realm of the divine. Between May and October in 1604, Caravaggio was arrested several times for possessing illegal weapons, and sometimes he was insulting city guards. But this was a small part of his crimes. Caravaggio's most infamous crime involved his bitter rivalry with Brunaccio Tomassoni, a known figure in Rome's criminal underworld. The feud fueled by gambling, debts, and sometimes people say it was about prostitute. Yeah, both of them liked same woman, obviously, and can be a reason for their arguments. This feud escalated to a street duel in 1606. It was 4 versus 4. Caravaggio's team versus Tomassoni's team. When Tomassoni was wounded, everybody tried to save him, including Caravaggio, who brought a wounded man to the doctor. But despite that fact, Caravaggio wounded the man on purpose. For this, he was facing death penalty. So Caravaggio fled the Rome. But by fleeing the Rome, he can only delay his execution. The law would surely find him anywhere, and here begins his redemption. He escaped the law, but how? He was never executed. The thing is, he had good contacts, and he knew influential people of the Rome, of the city. And when he had the problems, he turned to them to ask help. One such person was a Cardinal Francesco Maria del Monte, but without a bribe in Italy, no one would help anyone. Therefore, Caravaggio painted David and Goliath for him, which later became one of the masterpieces. But the reason was not the technique or difficulty. Look closely. The slain Goliath has Caravaggio's face. David, who is victorious, does not look happy at all. He looks at the slain man with almost contempt. Many believe that Caravaggio gave David the face of his young self, dissatisfaction that the young Caravaggio has towards the current Caravaggio. This painting is self-pity. After all, it is a self-portrait, and this is exactly how Caravaggio sees himself. The one is about to be executed, and everyone looks at him with contempt, and he himself does not have a different attitude. This is not only painting where Caravaggio depicted himself. The Kiss of Judas, a painting depicting the arrest of Christ. Indeed, this painting seems to be alive. You can feel the scream, the sadness on the face of Christ, reflections on the armor of the soldiers. The Kiss of Judas, who himself betrayed Christ. You can feel the regret that is depicted in this painting. But we will understand the full concept of the painting only if we observe who is holding a torch. His face is full of interest. He has simply come to see the procession and very interested in what will happen. He holds a torch to light the night. On the one hand, he tries to see the incident better with this torch, but on the other, he dispels the darkness of the guards and helps them catch Christ. This man is Caravaggio. By presenting himself in this painting, he also reflects his real life. The life in which he betrayed Christ, betrayed him exactly as Judas betrayed him. We can read the despair of the artist, who is in terrible sins and ashamed of himself. Identifying himself with Judas as simply showed loving rascal. He seems to regret the life he has chosen, regrets all the crimes he has committed, but he cannot stop. Drinking, women, and circumstances make him lose himself, and so on. He runs away, but his sins pursue him, and do not let him to sleep peacefully. Another painting, Caravaggio depicts the defeat of evil. Judith beheading Holofernes. We know from the Old Testament that Holofernes was sent to conquer Israel. Judith dragged him away to save her country and killed him in his sleep. This action of Judith is a symbol of victory over evil, the evil that wanted to destroy Israel. Here we see Judith, who has the face of one of Caravaggio's favorite courtesans, as if Caravaggio is trying to atone for her sins. Judith defeated evil in the biblical story, so the courtesan also wants to defeat evil and become free. But let's look at Holofernes, a man who is the embodiment of evil. He has the face of Caravaggio. Caravaggio apparently believed that he was seen, that he was the accused of not only his own sins, but also the sins of others, and therefore, if he died, everyone would be free and sinless. Indeed, he died at age of 38, under mysterious circumstances.